Hey everyone, I thought I would share the waste study that we are looking at to YouTube so that you can have a look at it that way if that helps. So I will share my screen, share the study, and then we will just quickly have a look at the first week, and then I will do that each week so that you can follow it through. I will also put the link to where the study is in the YouTube clip as well. And our community has had it sent out in the emails as well. So we're looking at waste. We're going to do that for the next 4 weeks. Thanks to Arosha. They have put these Bible studies together. As a little introduction, and then we will look at week 1 about rubbish and facing the problem of waste. Congratulations, you've taken the courage in your hands and decided to look at the least appealing of subjects. Waste is one of those things that we would quite like it to just disappear and let's not talk about it. We often try and ship things off to somewhere else and we make our waste someone else's problem, which is not good. It's not okay. And so we take this time to think through some things. Interestingly, that the average person throws away their body weight in waste every 3 months. And we can think it's gone because we can't see it anymore, but it's not gone. We have just moved the problem to someone else. In fact, some countries now will not take waste being exported to them. It's kind of like sort your waste out yourself. And we have an obligation to take care of God's creation. Whether you believe in God or not, or however you think of that phrase, we have an obligation to care for this planet. Then it suggests that you think about what kind of waste is produced where you are. So in your town, in your area, what is the biggest or most significant waste problem? I'm always horrified at the amount of food that gets wasted. After all, we use land and we use water to grow it. We use our money to buy it, and then we throw it away. And it causes more problems again. It just seems really weird. And yet I'm not immune to that problem. It's something we all need to deal with and to look at and to improve. Then it suggests you watch this cute little clip of the Wall-E movie where he's squishing all the waste and stacking it up and finding some things that he likes and values and some things that we would value that he throws away again. I'm not going to watch that here now. The link is there. You can go and have a look at it. And again, I suggest you read Nehemiah chapter 4. Nehemiah is organizing the rebuilding of the wall of Jerusalem. A lot of people don't want to get in and help out, and there's this massive issue about rubbish, and piles of rubbish is in the way, and people are hassling him for that and teasing him, and but there's just all this rubbish. And rubbish isn't mentioned often in the Bible as such, so it's an interesting thing to see it so mentioned in this rebuilding the wall narrative. So have a read of that, Nehemiah 4, and then think through these questions. How might they have felt about the burned remains of their temple just there, just this rubble from the past. And I really like the last question. Can you relate to having to clear away rubbish from the past? So you're trying to build a new thing, but you need to clear away some rubbish, either literally or symbolically, metaphorically, in your personal life, in the community life of the church. What might be rubbish that we need to clear? And then there's an interesting narrative that I will read from Simon. Why do the poor suffer from the rubbish of the rich? Hands up, who wants a landfill or a contaminated site, waste site, just around the corner from where they live? Not a lot of hands would go up, I imagine. Nobody wants to live near rubbish tips or coal or nuclear power stations, large polluting factories, or even right on a busy main road. But as we need power and transport and we produce rubbish, someone has to. And the research shows that inevitably it is the poor and the marginalised who tend to. So what? It really comes down to money, power and influence. Firstly, poorer people tend to live on the cheaper, less valuable land, but it is more than this, and this is where power and influence comes in. Wealthier, more educated people are able to influence decisions more. They hold power or know people who hold power. They can afford to pay for lawyers, planners, and researchers and push their case. They have the power to stop rubbish being dumped in their communities. And so where does it end up? In areas where poor, less educated people live. This is sometimes referred to as environmental justice or injustice. And it's another example of how bad stuff keeps happening to poorer people. I think it should give us pause to think what our response should be. Reading the book of Lamentation is a great exercise, and I would commend Lamentations as a whole book to you. This particular little bit is a cry of despair after a national disaster. The people are defeated and they are enslaved. They've lost everything. And in their lament, they feel like trash, filth and rubbish among the nations. Or as the Good News version puts it, the garbage dump of the world. And then as we reflect on that for ourselves, who might we think are the garbage dump in our times? Are there poorer places in New Zealand where we go, cool, we can build a landfill over there, it won't matter? Won't matter if it leaches out into their waterways as long as it's not ours? Or do we send all our rubbish to other parts of the world, which we've done in the past, making it their problem, not ours? And then have you ever felt like you are the filth and rubbish in the eyes of others? And again, that is not how it's meant to be. And we all have a part to play in making this world better for the earth and for the people who dwell in it. There's a really great video here about lives of children in Cambodia who live in the rubbish dumps. Cambodia is not the only place in the world where people live literally live in the rubbish dumps. It's quite something to watch. And then to think, how can we help? How can we correct those problems? And how can we not add to them anymore? Again, there's a reading here that you could read from Philippians, a letter that Paul wrote. And he was pretty head on challenging the values that the church was holding in Philippi. They wanted to be respected and to be seen to do all the right things. And he's going, it's nothing compared to Christ. In fact, it's rubbish. And so it's kind of interesting how we maybe prioritize all the wrong things and create real rubbish too. The Message version says, yes, all the things I once thought were so important are gone from my life. Compared to the high privilege of knowing Christ Jesus as my master, firsthand, everything I once thought I had going for me is insignificant. Dog dung. I've dumped it all in the trash so that I could embrace Christ and be embraced by him. I think we often chase things and create rubbish and throw away society because we're trying to be seen to have all the cool things. And maybe none of that is important, and we should look to live differently. You know, when do you decide what something is rubbish and should just be thrown away, and what has value? And Paul is not saying that the only thing that matters is spiritual lives and everything else is pointless and doesn't matter anyway. It's all about your spiritual life. That is not what Paul is saying anywhere, frankly, in his letters. He does want us to take seriously our spiritual lives and then live them in ways that are respectful to other people, respectful to the planet, respectful to the poorer amongst us as well. So I suggest you have a look through this. The link will be in the YouTube. And give some thought. Take some time this week and look at all the things that you're going to throw away. And wonder where they're going to end up. Because they're going to end up somewhere. They're not easy questions to wrestle with, and they're not easy things to change in our behaviour. But I think we have to. And so we will look at this study and we will challenge some of our behaviours. And we will make some progress and we will trust it to God. So take some time this week, look at your rubbish. Is there stuff you could have recycled? Is there stuff you could have reused? Is there stuff you didn't need to have bought in the first place? Go well. Be with God. After all, God is always there in you and around you at all times and in all places. God bless. We will see you next week with part 2 of this study.